Hey guys, this is my starting guide to teach you all the basics and some basic tips and tricks on Satisfactory. This is a factory building game. You're in first person. All the resources are infinite. Now, let's get to the important part. Starting the game off, you want to go to your options and you want to start changing things like your gameplay options to the things that you like, of course. And these things I can note right now is turn off like send gameplay data and stuff like that if you need extra resources for your computer. Turn stuff like that off. These are my settings that I use to help me get around with my bad computer. So feel free to use whatever you want to use. But let's go over to the video options. And I have to put this thing on low for everything. But one thing you should be putting on is max FPS 230, no matter what your system is. Because of things like hypertubes, they all use the FPS for all the glitching and stuff like that can happen. So this is really recommended to put that at 30 to make everything a little bit more stable in that department. And of course, motion blur. Luckily that's off. I hate that. But yeah, if you want more stuff, put this one on right here. This will help with the lag too. So you can leave that on too, and then change all your settings that you want, of course. The next thing, when you're starting a new game, you have 4 different starting zones. This is all the same map, and you can start in each one of these zones. So let's go and take a look at this map. The next thing you need to know about starting a new game at Satisfactory is the map. You can go to Satisfactory Calculator and view this map yourself at any time, but this is the basics right here. These are the 4 starting zones. Zone 1, Zone 2, Zone 3, and Zone 4 that you can start in. Your drop pod will land in any of these locations, and this is the basic roadways that are throughout the map and what the thing looks like from a pulled out view. Now, we'll go into the resources, which is the most important part too, is finding where your resources are. So we'll have to zoom in here and take a look at the first starting area. Let it load in. There we go. So if you can see this right here, this might help a little bit. We can zoom in a little bit more like this. Okay, so now get the full screen here. And this is the first starting zone, and these are where the resource nodes are located. Infinite resources from all of them, and there you go. Now you can see where all the resources are, and if you want to start in this zone, there you go. We'll go up to the second zone up here. Here it is. This is over here. Lots of resource nodes. A little bit better ones over here. It's pretty spaced out, but anywhere is good if you want to challenge or not. And you can take a look at it yourself later on. This is the third starting zone, the one I recommend you take to make your life easy. Well, it's not the easiest place to build, but it is for farming resources and stuff like that. It's really handy. So right in the middle of it, if you happen to get lucky, you can get all these resources right here. You got tons of them, everything you need. Or even better, if you land over here somewhere, you can have right away, you can hop on over to here. And this has the bigger variety of all your more important things that you need, like your quartz to unlock stuff, and your coal and your other resources that are really handy. And oil is not too far away. That is water, not oil. Oh, it is oil. Yeah, it's oil too. Anyways, yeah, don't be worried. There's lots of oil up here. And we go to the last starting zone. It is quite big. We have to zoom out for this one. This is a big starting zone in this desert. And it has tons of resources, lots of pure nodes too, so it's very mineral rich, but it's spaced out a little bit more. As you can see, there's some sulfur over here and some way over here, but nothing near the middle. So you're going to have to pick a side anyways. And there's other resources here and there. It's pretty spread out, but really compact for just tons of mining opportunities in here. And this is water, and there's no oil near here, but you have to go over here to get your oil. That is the only drawback why I didn't pick that one there, because the oil is too far away. But yeah, that's a good look at the map right here. And if you zoom out, you can see how complicated it is. But there you go. The first practical gameplay tip I can give you is dealing with the wildlife. The first thing you're going to come across, the first problem, the difficulty, is getting to your first resource node and finding out it is being guarded by some guys. It's usually 2 of these ground guys here, and he is somewhere hiding in the bushes. He was just here, and that's the problem. You can't see these guys And if you run real fast, you might just spawn in right behind you when they pop in. There he is, right in front of me. So here they are, and you got to dodge them and attack them. And they run really fast. Oh, I got to get in the fighter zone. There you go. And if you run in circles around them, and as they run in circles, if you run in circles for all the guys in this game, if you can just run in circles, they run in circles, and then you can effectively dodge them. So this is how you deal with these guys. Right away, the first tip is do circles and dodge them fast. When they come charging at you, dodge. They don't have the best turning arc, and then you can hit them on the fly when you're dodging them, and then you can run around in circles and kill them like that with your little Xeno Zapper. So that is the first tip. Deal with these guys. There's usually 2 of them around each node. Sometimes there can be 3 some places, and sometimes just 1. And I do not see the second one here, but this is right close to my base. And you can usually hear them first. But yeah, that is the first tip of getting access to your resource nodes. Here are some tips I wish I knew at the start of the game when doing my build. The first thing is you can hold the Alt button down and use your middle mouse wheel and scroll through different hotbars. I don't use hotbars very much, but it would be handy to have one dedicated to movement and things like that. That would have been helpful to know. The next helpful thing I found to know is when you're deleting stuff, you can use the middle or the build menu, doesn't matter, any build menu you're in, you can use the middle mouse button to copy whatever it is. So if I want to build, if I'm in my factory building and I want to switch to something else I already have, like a storage unit, I can just click on the storage unit, click on it properly. There you go, middle mouse button, and then you have your copy of it and you can build like that. So this will save you a lot of time. Just, copying everything with the middle mouse button is very handy. And I use the F key to get into this menu here. Now, the dismantling menu has other little tips for itself too. So as you can see the resources on here. And one tip you can do is you can check out the resources you have in these storage containers. So from far away, you can see what you have in storage containers, and then you can just delete it and get them from very far away, or pick them up at your convenience. Now the other thing about this, if you want to destroy multiple things, you can tap your control button and put them into a queue, or you can hold the control button down and just highlight everything, and then you'll see everything that you're deleting, and then just delete it all at once. Or it's like, I don't want to delete this, and then you just tap control and it will take it out of the queue. So then you're only deleting the stuff that you don't want. Now the other thing is, when you're building stuff, you have access to the world grid. The world grid I didn't know about. This thing, like, I just place stuff, randomly. I started getting foundations, just placed them. But if you hold control, you can see how it moves here. You hit the control button. This is the world grid. So objects like this will be snapped to the world grid anywhere they are. That's why it's the world grid. So this will be very handy for you to use when you're building stuff at the start. So everything will be lined up later on, especially when you start building multi-level things in the sky, and you have foundations, and you want them to all snap together nicely when you end up connecting them with railways and stuff like that later on. The other thing you can do at the start of the game is you can stack basic chests like this and use them as ladder. Everything basically has a ladder on it, and ladder is just you walk into it and you automatically run up it. Very easy to do in this game, and you can get on top of things and get an over top view whenever you want. Now going down is a different story, but you'll get the hang of that. Now the other thing is conveyor poles. I did not know that they can go up. You can just click them and then you can raise them up with your mouse, up and down. I thought that was very handy to know. I didn't know that at the start, and I was just having sloppy builds all over the place and doing that. The other thing I didn't really do much of is the splitters on existing belts and stuff like that. So this existing belt, you can just go over top of it and the splitter will work. And you can't build it right here because it's too close. But yeah, if you just have the splitter selected, it will select right on top of this line and it's good to go, and your line is now split. And if this is all lined up perfectly on the grid and you have lots of room, you don't have to rebuild everything and add splitters in like I normally have to do later on. Other thing to note is when you get lifts and splitters and stuff like that, this comes off as clipping, but it doesn't really do anything. It might do something later on, but I don't see why this is clipping because it snaps on naturally for stuff like that. Now the other thing is there are other build modes. So when you get into things like foundations and you snap them to the world grid, you can have them on a build mode, which is R, and you can change it to Zoop, which is what I recommend you do. And then you can just snap it, click, and then you can go up to 10 long, all like that, real fast. So once you click it, you can build stuff like super fast. Oops. You can build things super fast. You get the idea. And then you can delete them very fast by just holding the control button and selecting them and delete them all. Nice and fast. Well, I missed some. That doesn't matter. Oops, didn't hit control. Yeah, so these are some of the basic starting tips I can tell you right now. There are definitely more when you unlock more technologies, and I'll show you them in a second. Once your factories get bigger, you're going to need to organize them a little bit better maybe, and things like that. And one good thing that helps is if you do have a scout tower, you can just, you can plop these down anywhere, take them apart anytime, and get a better overview of your factory and what's going on and where things are going. And you will have access to the X button, and you can change the colors of everything. And you can edit them and make your own colors up. And then you can paint stuff as you see fit. As you can see right here, all this stuff is blue. This is all for my screws, so this is how I organized it. So this is helpful. Later on, you come back to it, and you want to know what buildings are doing what, and these guys are all producing screws. So that makes it easy, and that one there should be painted. If I can actually click on it, there you go. And this one is red because it is not perfect. So that is how I organize it. So I know that these lines going up are good and they're perfectly done, and this one here is not the perfect output that I need for whatever is feeding into up above. So you can build vertically like that. Now see, I got some room here. I might want to expand, and I have some ore coming out here, and it's getting complicated. I might want to go a little bit farther out this way. Here's a splitter. I want to split stuff, but I can't be putting things around here, can I? So no, that doesn't work. But what you can do is, if you have your proper height and you know what it is, you can use one of these things. So this here lift, well, it's starting off in the right spot because I have it reversed already, but you can hit the R button to have it, default is the wrong way, and then hit it again in reverse. So, oops, I hit the button by accident there. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, anyways, you get it on there like that, and you click it up. There you go. Now it's higher, and it's this high is above the factory line. So above all that stuff is good enough, and then it'll reach, and there you go. It'll reach, and then we can just get rid of that, and you do the same process again. So I got to get down in there. Let's go in there. There you go. I get a better view of what I'm building now because I can't see it from that angle. If I could go up top here and build something, that'd be good. Now you can use these things here to do it, but as you know, they take up a lot of space like I did over here. They can take up some space, and maybe I don't want to, so you can just roughly judge the length, and if you're not worried about everything being absolutely 100% perfect, you can do it faster, and then you can just raise this up to the desired height again, and rinse and repeat, and make your belt as long as you want. And make it as good as you want, and keep doing it, and so you can start feeding off a new line from very far away, and you can do that. Now, other thing you do is make sure you open up your awesome shop and your awesome sink, and you start using that, and you can build things like this. You see that up there? It's right attached to there. Instead of using holes like this, I wish I went and got my sink right away. You can attach it to one of your miners you're not using, or some products that have overflow, and split them off and just do that. So I have this stuff feeding up in here, and I did the belt trick, and I didn't really care that it wasn't really straight as long as it got over there. But yeah, you can find these things in your logistics, and you open them up in your shop, and you pay your tickets, and I'll get into that later on. But yeah, the whole conveyor lift, and see it's yellow, that means there's something there and in the way. But yeah, this spot right here is open and blue, and you can just build it up there, and then you can stick your lifts and attach your lifts right to it, and you can adjust them to where you want. And then above there, you'll be able to see that hole. You won't fall through it, but your stuff can go through there without making big holes and without clipping. Very handy to do. And so be aware that there's things like that you can get if you go into the shop. It's not all just junk, and you can do the same thing with walls. And as you see, my factory doesn't really have walls, and you might build yours as proper with walls and stuff like that, and then you can use the wall lifts, which might be nice. I put one up here for demonstration purposes on what they look like. But yeah, you can see how they stick in there, and then you can just build your conveyor belts attached to them. all along the wall. So that's another way to handily use these other tools that they have that you need to unlock with your awesome shop, which is just your resources that you're not using. And since resources are infinite, it's not going to hurt you to do it. The next tip is on moving faster, and it is crouch sliding. Crouch sliding is pretty awesome when you're running. Hit the crouch button, you slide, and then you can jump and get extra speed, extra height. It is really awesome. Just tap your control button and jump. You can hold the control button and just keep bouncing around like a rabbit. You can change direction as long as you're holding the button down and sliding. You can just do whatever you want. It is awesome for traveling around. Sliding down hills is really fun too. Just don't jump like this when you're going downhill, because you'll end up taking a ton of fall damage. The other neat thing about this sliding is you can go underneath your conveyor belts like this and just slide underneath them wherever you want. And you can change your directions when you're sliding. There's no set direction. You can just slide and change your directions and jump. It is pretty awesome, nice tool to travel around. Nice and quick. I think it's even faster than this little Jeep here. You can travel from point A to point B if it's flat, just a lot faster just by doing this and running around like that. It might even be faster than hypertubes. Who knows? Next tip is don't get stuck in your factory doing nothing. You need to explore the area, you need other resources, and you need to start doing your researches. You can do these at any time basically as soon as you unlock the MAV, and find things like this Caterium ore to improve your life. You know, you get things unlocked for Caterium ore, you can end up getting the Smart Splitter, which is very awesome, and a whole bunch of other things that you can unlock with this. So go around and explore and find things like this, and find things like power slugs. You can see one up there. You see that blue guy way up there? Let's go get him. Well, I'm not going to go get him, but I'll show you. When you find things like this and the power slugs like this, you can build anywhere you want, of course. Nice and easy. And just build your ramp like so, and explore and grab all these things. Now you want to grab these power slugs and get them as much as you want, but you need to unlock the technology to learn them without getting stuck by the poison damage, of course. So yeah, so you want to grab those guys and start researching your technology and learn everything you can. So start exploring as soon as you have time to get this technology up. It'll be very handy, trust me. Another tip for organizing your base, after you have yourself nice and settled up in the sky or anywhere you want, and your hub is in a good location and you want access to all your resources, you can build your storage units around the outside of your area here, like so. Sorry for the lag. But yeah, you can build it outside like this and put little ends on them like this, put little conveyor belts so you can see what resources are in what. So from far away, you can tell just by looking at it, by what's inside. You could alternately just use this method here and see what's inside them, but you know, without hitting buttons and having a visual representation of what you're going to see is just very handy of all the resources you have around your little hub area. Then you can also, and then of course you can have your put in splitters and then have them connect to here and bleed off resources as you see fit to fill up these units. And then, you know, if once they're full, they won't get any more, and your production lines will go back to being, you know, 100% effective, and you'll have like a full load of all the goods that you need and don't have to worry about it. So that is one good tip on how to organize your base, is stick all these things along the outside and then just put little things on there so you can see them. It makes life a lot easier for me to know exactly where everything is and organized for more researches and things like that. And of course I put these ones here in the middle just for nothing, so if I ever need to go out and do something and kill myself, I can just store everything and then I'm good to go. And then of course you need more because you're going to have more storage units for yourself for just random goods. So this is one little tip to help you organize your base, and then of course this goes to another hypertube hub I'm going to be building next. So I attach your hypertube hub to it so you get access to it, and that's a nice good place for that too. Just for a note on the basic organization of your factories, when you're splitting your lines and stuff like that and you're doing your factory build to get the most out of your lines and you're not going to be changing anything, your smelters here will produce, if you want to produce screws, one smelter will feed 2 of the rebar lines, and 2 of those rebar lines will feed 3 of these screw lines. So you got to split them and merge them together. So the splitter is in 3, and then 2 of those lines will go into 1, and then 2 of the lines from this one here will go into another, and then 2 lines from this one go into a third, and then all 3 of these lines will have the same amount of screws that you are producing. And that's how you make them efficient as possible without changing anything. That's just a basic thing. But once you get into overclocking, as you'll go over to this one here, you get overclocking and coal. Now these belts, they only move at 270. You're not going to have access to them right away when you're building coal, but you can still overclock it if you want right away. But as soon as you get your belts unlocked and you got your steel going, and this is feeding my steel, you can overclock this, and you can change the overclock speed to higher or lower. So right now, this your line needs to be running at the maximum 270 parts per minute. And I don't want to use it, I don't want to go like full like this. Let's see how much power this uses. 23 megawatts of power, and it's not being used. I can only take 270, not 360 parts. So you can come into here and just overclock it to what you need it. I know it's kind of just a small overclock at 12%, but when you have 6 lines running this, that is the exact amount you need anyway. So this works out perfectly for 6 foundries using the coal at the same speed at 270. So when you get to organizing your coal and your iron together, overclock your mining nodes and put them at 270 max when you're making the steel, and then you can have 6 foundries for that. But the other thing about overclocking that isn't really reported is underclocking. Sometimes you just don't have the power like at the start of the game, and you can research that overclocking right away, which I recommend, is you can underclock stuff. It requires you to build more things, like maybe more smelters and more constructors and more lines, but this is very simple to do and very simple to copy, and it doesn't really take up much space compared to all the splitters and the mergers, so you're not really losing much in resources, but you're saving it in power. Now this one here is producing screws at the maximum rate, and how you can organize this is 10 per minute, right? This needs 10 rods per minute. So go to the feeder. This one here needs to be at 10 per minute, so I changed this to 10 per minute, which lowered the clock speed down this, and it lowers the power consumption by almost 50%. And it's running at 60%, 66%. So you're saving quite a bit of power for running this factory right here, and then you save more if you're going to run your smelter at the same lower rate. So at this lower rate, I'm only using 0.7 milliwatts of power to run this line, and I could double this up. If I double this to 20 parts, like if I split this line, like I can split this line 3 ways with the 3-way splitter, and then run this line at full 100%, right? So I can run this line at full 100%, split this one 3 ways, and have 3 of these going off of one smelter instead of splitting it into 2 and then combining it, splitting it to 3. Just run 3 of these lines, nice and simple, and they'd be using less power than the other combination combined, because this one here is at its lower rate. I'd be saving almost 2 milliwatts of power per line to have just the same amount of effect with just a couple more buildings. But if you're just going to run one line at a time, you're saving a ton of power. And if you're just going to feed one line and you don't want to do anything else at the moment, you can lower the power down to the 8% to 10 parts, which is just 1.1 milliwatts. So this whole setup here produces the line of iron bolts for a lot less than the other organized one I have over there, maximizing the yield without overclocking and underclocking. So just keep that in mind. Underclocking can be really awesome, and it's a really good power saver for things that you don't need. And when you're feeding your biomass burners and you're getting annoyed by doing that and you want to get your coal unlocked right away, just focus on getting that unlocked and underclock stuff. That will save you lots of headaches on your power problems. You can tame the wildlife in this game. Well, just this one lizard guy acts like a dog. So what you do is you have to sneak and come in there nice and slow, and don't scare him when he's backing away. So you throw down some food. I can't get my controls here. And back away. There you go. And now once he eats it, you sneak in there closer to him and then pet him. And now he's tamed. It's that simple. As long as you're sneaking and go in there nice and slow, and you can actually hit more than 4 buttons at a time, or hit 4 buttons at a time, like I can't, apparently. But yeah, you sneak in there, and now he'll have an inventory. And he will eat more of these, and he will follow you around. So he'll just follow you. You can put him back to base and put him in the cage, and they're one of the few animals that won't glitch out. I'm pretty sure he's the only one that doesn't run out and escape magically through walls. All the other guys will escape through walls. So the other thing is, these guys play fetch. They will give you a free item or items in their inventory slot. You saw the inventory slot in a second there, and as you can see what they have right here, and after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or whatever time they have, they will give you a free item. This item is random. It can be anything. It can be dangerous like uranium, and you could pick it up and die, or it could be something awesome like it gave me one of these things. That's not awesome, but it did give me a purple power slug. So that's why I have this purple power slug here, because it gave me that. It was in this inventory, and that was awesome when it came home with that. They don't really go anywhere, but yeah, these guys can give you awesome resources. So it's not just a waste of time to tame these guys. They're not just there just to follow you around and have little guys following you around. They actually have a good use and can get good items for you. One other important thing to do at the start of the game is, besides researching your technology, is learn those smart splitters, and then you can have them splitting the overflow. That's how you set them up, is have that side go into overflow. So anything extra on your lines can be taken off easily without having to think about it. And then I have all these other lines here, and they all have smart splitters on them for any of the overflow for the different production lines. And they all end up going into your sink. So get your awesome sink right away so you can build and get all your nice little tickets. And I got like 14 coupons saved up, and I'm going to get another one in a second. You print them off, you get them as an item, and then you can go to the awesome store, and I just put that there for a temporary fix on that stuff. So anything extra that I'm not using at the moment can be trashed and put into coupons, and you go to your awesome shop and you can get all these different little things. You can get parts and extra items. Now, the extra parts, you might say, oh, that's useless, but no. At the start of the game, you can get things like, this AI limiter. Well, you can't make those right at the start, but you can make all these tickets right away, and it just costs 3. And same with this quick wire. You might not have any titanium ore nearby, and you might need just a whole bunch of this, and you don't want to go through it all, and it's one ticket for 500, and then that will help you with your researching and unlocking even more stuff. Like you need these to unlock the smart splitters. That type of thing, or explosives, anything you want. Like wasting it on other resources is kind of a waste, but it is one ticket for 100. And if you have nothing else to do and you're short on parts, you can always do that. And of course, there's extra equipment like the coffee mug, and you can get other items. But the best things to get are these attachments. Like I already have them, and I showed you, or I might not have showed you yet. But this conveyor forklift is very handy. It makes your factory look a lot neater, and multi-levels makes it it's just so effective on multi-levels. And same with the conveyor wall mounts. If you're doing walls on your factories and stuff like that, these wall mounts will help out immensely. And then you can do the same thing for hyperdudes. I haven't bought all these things yet. I haven't really needed to yet. I'm going to try these wall power outlet things. They might be very handy also. But yeah, and then other things are just, decoration. So you can have fancy looking windows and stuff like that for your walls instead of just your plain basic one-shot wall. And then you got lights and stuff like that. So you can decorate to your heart's content and just using the awesome sink, and you're use the awesome shop. But I just like to use it for get the attachments, get the important things, get this stuff out of the way and built, and bleed off extra resources to actually get these tickets to buy these parts and all this stuff like that, and save yourself a lot of headache and time. Like if you need to research something in your MAV, and you want, like I want maybe to research this one here, and I don't have the explosives, I could use the tickets to get explosives, but I can go and get some myself. But that's not too hard. But other things like that, if you want to build them, you can easily do that. Like I'm already up on it here, but so I can't really help it. You can buy these things there, but yeah. You can get lots of resources, and you can use your store here, get your awesome shop up and running, and get that going right away. Now for some more advanced combat tips in this game. This is not really a combat game, but there is fighting involved. Now these guys here, they will turn into 3 little bugs that will hurt you. They don't hurt you a lot, but they can be annoying, and if you don't want to fight them and you want to clear them, you can shoot them with a gun. It doesn't work with it might work with a melee weapon, but then you've already spawned the bugs and you defeated the purpose. But the purpose is you can shoot them and you have to make sure you hit them, like so. And these bugs have spawned. I fell down there by accident. But yeah, they have spawned. They have not aggroed to me, and they won't aggro to you from this far away. And these guys should eventually just fall down dead and despawn from this far away. And so they won't bug you. So if you're going through the areas and you want to come by and you have lots to explore, just shoot these things from far away, and these little bugs will end up dying on their own in some time. It doesn't take too long for them to despawn and die, and they're gone. See? Not too long. So now that they're gone, you can come in there and do the same thing to those ones and clear them out. Nice and simple. If you're worried about combat with these more difficult guys, you can trap them with your building. You can build sloppy as you want and just get them all nice and trapped in a nice location like this. So these guys that shoot the plasma at you can't get at you, and you can hit them. And he can't get out unless you move off the map or wait too long. Then they'll come after you. But these guys will despawn and go through your buildings if you turn your back for a second. But as long as they're trapped in here like this, you can trap them and they'll be bugged, and then you can just beat them to death that way without getting hurt. Of course, just getting set up like that will take some time, and then of course it's easy to just destroy everything after. Yeah, 3 organs. And I made a big mess here because I was trying to get him to kill himself, but he wasn't doing it. I've had these guys kill themselves by hitting objects, but hitting building objects isn't working. I guess it could be just regular everyday objects that they hit, and these ones don't count. You never know what's going to count because they can walk through these things too, so it's kind of not, you know, stable as a whole blocking mechanism. But yeah, that is it. Build a huge trap or any type of small trap and then end up trapping them, and then you can kill them that way and get your power slugs. One of the best things I can recommend is get your power plants up and running as fast as possible so you don't have to use those biomass burners anymore. So get that coal unlocked right away and then start building your power plants ASAP. And then just disregard the rest of your base at the expense of building these power plants. It will save you more time in the long run. Is just to get all the resources you can to build these things and start building them, and not have to worry about your biomass burners anymore, and maximize all the coal that you can and build as many power plants as you can feeding off of those things. I found one normal coal node with a Mark II miner can feed 8 power plants effectively, and then I use just 2 of these per 4. It's overkill on the water, but you know, it's simpler just to do it that way than actually it is to divide and conquer a whole bunch of pipes and stuff like that. Anyways, highly recommend just getting this done and getting it researched and building your steam-powered power plants right away so you don't have to do this. Is hands-off operation. I have not had to come back here at all since I built this, and it didn't take very long to build. I just toss them down and then feed the lines to them like any other thing. So now I am good on power because I went overkill and did full 2 mines on it, and I'm producing a ton of power with these things right here. So what my power is 1,200. So I'm getting close to needing more, but I'm at the end of phase 2, and I'm going to be unlocking oil at any time I feel like it. So I can unlock oil and then get to the oil plants and build way better power plants, which will basically make these things obsolete. But you know, at least they're there, and I have them there for backup. But yeah, they're going to be replaced with oil. But in the meantime, having this and not filling the biomass burners is just so much better than not doing it. Just do it and save yourself a whole bunch of time and headaches. Extra far jump. But yeah, that is it. That is it for all the tips and tricks I know about Satisfactory at the moment, just for the starting purposes at least. So, one last note. For these miners here, as you can see, I have them placed on foundations. You can place your foundations first, and your miner will fit on top. And when you're upgrading your miners and things like that, and you want to put them back on your track, just note that they will not function. These things will not work anymore. It's just a current bug or something they're going to fix later on, hopefully, but you just have to remove it and then place a new one on there, like so, and that will work perfectly fine. There you go. Now that will fix the rest of your line, and the rest of your lines will work for that one simple fix. Now the rest of it is all your belt speeds, they are different, right? You start off with the MK1 and it does 60 resources per minute, and then it jumps up double that, and then it goes up to 270 for the next one. And there's more later on, of course, that go faster and faster. So just beware of what you're doing for your maximum resources for your loads. Like this one here, it says 120 per minute, and if I put it up to number 2, it'd be twice as fast, which is fine. But when you're getting up to like next level stuff and overclocking, just remember that your belt speed can't handle it. I noted that before, but just remember there's things like that, and you don't have to do stuff by underclocking like I showed you here. That'll save you some power and some headaches on doing stuff like this for multi-purpose stuff, but you can also just do stuff normally like I did here and have it branched off properly and feeding your lines at 100%. But you don't have to do it by the parts per second. You can do it by how much time it takes, like 0.5 seconds, and you can feed off it that way. And then when you go into here, you can see this takes 2 seconds to process 1 ore, so that would be 4. So you need to split this into 4, and then you have one of these, and one of these ores are processing at the 2 seconds for 1, and then you come over to these ones here, and these are producing at 4 seconds, so that's half the speed, so you split it in half. Some of them are really simple like that, but when they get more complicated, you can go to the parts per minute, and you can manually change that as you see fit to make things a little bit more tight, a little bit more interesting if you want to. Of course, you can build as much as you want, anything you want. So that is it for my video. Thanks for watching. I hope I covered everything, and stay tuned for some more, because I'll have some more tips and tricks later on as I advance more in this gameplay, and I'm going to catch up to my other gameplay and get more unlocked and do everything that involves oil and stuff, oil and plastics, and then get into nuclear power and all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, last time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.